In the Tambako Valley, as the morning sun struggled to pierce through the gray clouds, the walls of the mansion trembled in an unusual silence. Ayanda stood in front of the mansion in her blue dress, her face turned to the wind, heart heavy. Today, she would end an era with her own hands. "Enough, Manoma!" Ayanda shouted. "We've reached the end of words." Her voice echoed through the valley. Even the walls tensed. Manoma was on her knees, clawing the ground, but her eyes still sparkled with pride. "We're not done yet," she whispered. Ayanda didn't look away. "I've stayed silent long enough. I watched for years. But now, I'm not here to host you. I'm here to send you off." Manoma raised her head. "If you send me away, you'll bury Mandla's bloodline too. Because your son, his truth has been hidden from you." Ayanda stepped back for a moment. Her heart was pounding, but her voice remained firm. "What did you hide all these years? You'll answer not just to me, but to the people." At that moment, the mansion's large door creaked open. Mandla stepped out silently. Was it shame in his eyes or fear? Ayanda turned and screamed, "Mandla, speak now, you'll tell us what this woman knows." The crowd held its breath. Silence, like before a storm. Manoma stood up and yelled in front of everyone, "Because Mandla is not your real son, and you, Ayanda, you are at the heart of this secret." Ayanda's knees were trembling, but her gaze stood tall. What Manoma had said could shatter a woman's entire world. But Ayanda didn't flinch. "What do you mean? Speak clearly." Manoma let out a cold laugh. "You think you belong to this family, yet you carry the marks of a past you don't even know." The crowd began to murmur. Tension reached its edge. Mandla finally spoke. "Mother, enough." But his voice was weak, tangled in shame. Ayanda turned and asked Mandla a question with her eyes. The answer was silence. An elder stepped forward from the crowd. It was Nana Zuberi, the village sage. "Enough," he said in a firm voice. "Dark secrets like these can't be untangled in public." Ayanda spoke before the elder could finish. "When did this woman's hatred for me become a secret from the past?" The fragility in her voice split the crowd in two. Manoma took a deep breath. "My silence comes from the truth about the man you believe is my son, because Mandla is not mine." A scream burst from the crowd. This revelation would not only shake a family, but the village's history. Ayanda fell to her knees, then suddenly stood tall. "I won't be part of this lie any longer." A scream burst from the crowd. This revelation would not only shake a family, but the village's history. Ayanda fell to her knees, then suddenly stood tall. "I won't be part of this lie any longer." Ayanda took the black envelope from the earth. Her hands trembled as she opened it, but her eyes stayed firm. This was the only bridge between past and future. She began to read aloud. "These words I write. Though I didn't birth you, I raised you as my own." By the time she finished, not even a leaf stirred in the village. Ayanda gripped the letter tightly in her hand. She didn't cry. Instead, a look settled on her face that made Manoma step back, for the first time. "Explain," Ayanda shouted. "You said this man was my husband, but you created his identity. What have I built? With a boy raised on lies?" Zuberi stepped forward. "Then it's time to face the past, at the grave, in the presence of his real father." When Ayanda reached the grave, she read the words etched in stone. "Thabiti, born in freedom, died in silence." Manoma stood silently behind. "Thabiti was my great love, but the village wouldn't allow it. They married me to someone else, and I had to hide our son." Ayanda stood up. There were no tears now, only fire in her gaze. "Every day you stayed silent. My marriage rotted." The village held its breath before the storm. Ayanda's decision would shake not just her household, but generations, because she was no longer just a bride. She had become the voice of the people. Mandla quietly approached. "I didn't know," he whispered. Ayanda turned and looked at him. In that look, she said everything. The village held its breath before the storm. Ayanda's decision would shake not just her household, but generations, because she was no longer just a bride. She had become the voice of the people. Night. Ayanda sits alone by a fire. Zuberi approaches silently. Tomorrow, we gather the people. It's time for everyone to speak their truth. Mandla entered Manoma's hut in the silence of night. What's the truth? Tell me everything from the beginning. His voice carried both rage and fear. Mandla entered Manoma's hut in the silence of night. What's the truth? Tell me everything from the beginning. His voice carried both rage and fear. Manoma closed her eyes and took a deep breath. As a child, I was given to an old man, my family's decision. I resisted, but no one listened. The next morning, Ayanda and Zuberi walk through the village gates. Ayanda calls out, "Today, words will cut deeper than swords. We are forming the council." The village square bustles with preparation. Drums beat. Women lay down woven mats. Men set up benches. Tension and determination fill the air. Ayanda stands in the middle of the crowd. She raises a paper in her hand. These are the truths born from a lifetime of lies. Today, we break the cycle. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Some shout, "Ayanda is right!" Others clap for Manoma. A fracture has formed. Arguments flare. Ayanda's words shake some, enrage others. The square nears chaos. Zuberi steps in. Silence! Everyone will speak in turn. Young women gather around Ayanda. They join hands. "You are our voice," they say to her. Manoma stands alone. She returns to her old hut, slowly opens a wooden chest. Her hands tremble. Inside the chest, an old necklace. Hanging from it, a symbol identical to the tattoo Mandla has worn for years. Manoma whispers, "Your father isn't in this chest, but his traces are here." The village square filled with people at the first light of dawn. Drums echoed through the air. Men and women stood on opposite sides. Today, the people would hear the truth with their own ears. Ayanda stepped forward. "I no longer hold a letter. I hold my heart. This village must be led not by fear, but by honesty." Manoma stepped forward. "I carry my sins, but this village knows me." The crowd began to fracture. Shouts, claps, boos, all clashed together. Mandla remained silent. His eyes weren't on the people, but the sky, because he carried not only the weight of the past, but also of the future. Ayanda shouted, "I won't speak in words alone, I will speak with proof." And she raised the necklace into the air. Zuberi confirmed, "This necklace is the symbol of Thabiti's bloodline, and the birthmark on Mandla's neck proves he belongs to that line." Ayanda closed her eyes. The anger she had held for so long burned inside her, but now all she wanted was peace. In that moment, an old man walked forward from the back of the crowd, leaning on his cane, a familiar light in his eyes. "I am Thabiti's brother, and Manoma. I forgive you, but Mandla must now choose his own path." Mandla stepped forward. "Ayanda, do you still want me by your side? Or do you want me to leave with my past behind me?" Manoma watched with teary eyes. With a trembling voice, she whispered, "Maybe the time has come." Zuberi addressed the people. "Today, we didn't just bury the past, we planted a new seed." Manoma watched with teary eyes. With a trembling voice, she whispered, "Maybe the time has come." Zuberi addressed the people. "Today, we didn't just bury the past, we planted a new seed." A fire was lit in the village square. People gathered around. Children danced. Elders sang. It was Tambako's night of rebirth. Zuberi stepped forward. The voice of the people spoke today, not with lies, but with truth. This is Tambako reborn. Mandla prepared to leave the village. He picked up his bag and took one last look at his home. Ayanda watched quietly from afar. Ayanda returned to the old hut. She stepped barefoot on the earth, scooped some soil with her hands and placed it over her heart. Manoma approached Zuberi. "Everything I did, it was out of fear. Forgive me." Zuberi extended his hand. "If Tambako forgives you, then so do I." Tambako Valley was quiet, but this time the silence wasn't of war. It was the beginning of peace. Mandla left with just a small bag. He glanced back one last time, but no one said goodbye, because some goodbyes come without words. Ayanda stepped barefoot onto the soil. The dust stained her skin, but not her soul. The earth was stained. She was not. Manoma entered the old hut. She ran her hand along the wall, then quietly sat on the floor and prayed, for the first time. In the village square, Zuberi called out, "The one who gave voice to this village will also be its light." Everyone shouted her name in unison. Ayanda stood forward. I was a wife, a bride, even an enemy. But now, I am the author of my own story. Manoma stepped out. Her eyes met Ayanda's. No words, only a mutual nod. Ayanda walked among her people. With every step, a chain of the past broke loose. Children followed behind her. She was no longer alone. She was now a woman. Children followed behind her. She was no longer alone. She was now a woman. Manoma closed the old chest. She broke the key and buried it. The past would no longer hold her captive. In a distant village, Mandla carried stones, not from the weight of the past, but from the sweat of honest work. In Tambako, struggles were now faced together. Ayanda formed reading circles for women. A new voice echoed through the village. Manoma visited Ayanda's new home. Ayanda opened the door and smiled. Welcome. They shared tea. There was peace in their silence. No grudges, no debts, only the maturity time brings. Ayanda wrote on her wall, "To be a woman is not to be silent. It's to exist." That wall became the most visited place in Tambako. Tambako was no longer just a beautiful place. It became a land where women, truth, and the people rose together. And Ayanda walked toward the sunset. Behind her, the past. Ahead, the future. Inside her, peace.